Alrighty there, howdy fellow Shadowpriest. Welcome to the second episode or edition of the 0 to 2400 Soul Shuffle experience. So I was able to win my first 6 games with pretty much terrible gear, and now I've been able to buy some extra pieces, and I'm a little bit closer to, full power. I'm about 445 at a level in this video. So initially, my number one idea here is just to not get counterspelled and globaled in the open, so I'm trying to pull back a little bit, get my dots up on the shaman, trying to range the shear. Until the mage is out, I'm just going to spam purge and generate some insanity. Now the mage is out, I'm going to switch my dots to him, instantly stun the paladin, drop a shadow crash on him, boom, all 3 targets are dotted. This is my DPS rotation. I want to dot all 3 targets and then drop a shadow fiend right away. Then I'll start looking to get into my burst. So I've already, like I said, was purging a little bit. I dropped a Shadow Fiend, so I have enough Insanity for Devouring Plague now, which is awesome. I should really go ahead and try to use that as soon as possible. Use it on the Mage. Trying to fake cast my Dark Ascension. Now I'm just hard casting my Shadow Tree. If I get kicked, I'll spam Mind Spike. Now I could get kicked by the Mage here, which is a little tricky. So now I'm back to my Shadow Tree. Fake the CS. Kill the Grounding Totem. I cast a Dark Ascension, and then I'm going to shoot a buffed Mind Games here into a full Void Torrent. Now I think optimally in terms of the DPS, I'll actually deal a lot more damage if I cast that first Mind Games and then dump a Mind Spike Insanity proc and then dump another DP. But really I just wanted to get my Mind Trauma stacks up right now. They did just nerf Mind Trauma for those of you that are, wondering, what, oh my god, is Shadowpriest going to be nerfed? Are we going to be unplayable? No, we're still going to be like really good. Probably still be like the best caster. Boomkin might also be very good as well, but you know what? They're bringing both these classes down a little bit. I think that's for the best. So I'm trying to keep my stacks up on both targets. I've got 3 stacks in the Mage. I've got 2 on the Shaman. I have Precog. I cast into a Grounding Totem. Very unfortunate. Just kind of CCing the Paladin off DR here. I noticed that my Demon Hunter stunned the Paladin, so I actually can't make use out of my stun right now. Everybody's on stun DR but the Shaman, so I could have, I guess, stunned the Shaman. However, I think I'm just going to wait till that DR's off the Paladin. DR's off the Pally. Now he stuns the Pally again, so probably could have actually stunned the Mage here. Yeah, I'm going to stun the Glacial Spike, just trying to make use of my CC. I'm always paying attention to this right side of my screen. What can I do? Can I full fear the Pally? Can I full silence him? Can I stun him? Etc, etc. Just always trying to be aware of how to make use of my CC. You don't ever want to use like triple DR CC or ever reset those DRs when things are going your way. Mass Dispel my Paladin, fade the Glacial Spike. In terms of my DPS here, all I gotta do is get my dots back up and start getting some burst going. No kick from the Mage, so I fake a shear. Mind Games, but I really should have Dark Ascended and then Mind Games. I think I'm starting to panic while I'm getting trained here, which is not a good trait. Trying to keep the Paladin dotted while the Mage is blocked. I don't have Mass Dispel available, so I'm not able to get it off. Double fear these 2 here. Try to keep the Shaman dotted. I think I should just hard cast my Shadow Tree a little bit more and then, start casting Mind Spike. So here we go, 1 Mind Spike. Gonna kill the Grounding, get another Mind Spike off on the Shaman maybe. Just kidding, the Mage has kick back up, so I'm gonna try to line of sight him for a second here. Paladin is on stun DR. I do have my second core. My DH is just really like training this Paladin, it feels like. Don't know if that's the best move. I think we may have killed the Mage already if we're both just hitting the Mage. Gonna get kicked on Shadow here, so I'll Desperate Prayer. Have Fade available as well now. Read out the Shaman, Mage. Mind Games, hit the Mage hard. Void Torrent, trying to get my haste stacks back up. I'm going to let that channel fully. Shaman shears me, so instead I'll spam Mind Spike for a second here. This game is going pretty bad from my perspective. I'm really not happy with the way I've been doing my burst rotation. I think I've been doing a solid job of at least keeping my dots up. My CC is fine, but I think my burst just needs to be a little bit better. Anytime I have Dark Ascension up, I really need to focus on casting those Mind Spikes and Mind Games, Mind Blast, all those spells that are actually going to buff your single target damage. I don't really want to be like spamming Void Torrent or VT too much when I'm out there. So now I'm playing Mage Shadowpriest. Pretty strong comp actually. I really like playing this on the ladder. Our best bet is just to avoid damage from the melee and kind of rot him out and hit whoever's in the open. We don't have a particular strategy here. I'm gonna go ahead and dot everybody. I've got dots in both the DPS. Same thing, I'm gonna stun the Pally, Shadow Crash him, fear him to get the Tremor Totem. I did Human very early. I like to Trinket aggro. I should have silenced this Denounce right here because it'll prevent me from critting. I think I did fade the denounce actually. So I fade the denounce, silence. My mage is cleaving them. So all I have to do really is keep them in the open for my mage. Gonna beta kick on flash heal here, and then I instantly get kicked on shadow, which is not good, and live at 5k HP. So that's just lucky. I feel like I should have lost this game here. One piece of advice you can learn from that is just don't, when they pop doom winds in meta, don't cast shadow. You know, don't. Sometimes I do like to tank those kicks, like I said, and just start spamming mind spike. Like right here, if I get sheared, I'll spam spike to get my procs out. 2 stacks on the Sham. I just feared the DPS here, even though it was a total waste. I think we already got the tremor. I should have really looked to fear off the sheep. Get the paladin, shrink it here. Keeping my stacks up. Need to redot them both because the paladin dispelled. Again, I'm gonna stun the pally, try to shadow crash him maybe as well. I do have a silence available. Right now, I'm just trying to kite them through that ring of fire, keep them in a good spot for dying. Was able to silence the pally as well. Purging bop doesn't matter because we all deal magic damage, so I don't even know why I tried. Desperate Prayer, fade, that's like my #1 go-to. I'm being very greedy with life swap as well because I just really trust paladin healing. I'm bopped, so this kind of gives me an opportunity to sit here and do some damage. I'm not going to take too much damage while I'm bopped. Mind Game's the DH, but the Shaman's ultimately the kill target. I realized halfway through my Void Torrent that there's both kicks up and I need to cancel it. That's kind of a bad idea. I generally like to only Void Torrent when I have a precog. Now I'm far enough from the DH, so I feel like I can free cast. Trying to bait him my Shadow Tree so I can start spamming out those spikes. Here we go, Dark Ascension. Kill the grounding with Catharsis. Fear them both. Spam Mind Spike Insanity here. I stunned the Shaman just to keep him in the middle of the map. Probably could have stunned the Pally for CC though too. Really need to get more value out of my mind spike stacks on Mind Trauma. One thing I will say about the positioning here is if I'm able to, and it's like where I'm playing right here is very easy for the Paladin to just kind of line my mage. I think I ultimately want to keep them all the way like diagonally right here and like kind of bring them maybe just straight right to that back right pillar. Make the Paladin cross the map. It'll leave him susceptible to CC. So I think I'm starting to realize that in this moment. I'm like, hey, I'm just letting this Pally play where he wants. Now I'm going to get off the pillar, and this should give my mage free sheeps. Like, look at the Paladin's positioning now compared to before, right? Before, he's just hiding behind the pillar. Now, since I'm dragging him out, it's just going to create an easy opportunity for my mage to sheep. There we go, full sheep. I'll channel a Void Torrent here. Get my full stacks. PI my mage. Come out with a Devouring Plague. Have to break grounding, break it. Casting a Mind Blast to bait the kick. Casting VT, also just looking for kicks to try to spam spike again. I have 2 Mind Spike Insanity procs, I really want to use them. DH isn't budging, I'll fear silence. Not really focused on fearing the Paladin this game when I'm getting trained. Not super important, but definitely had some opportunities to do so. Silence him into a stun, just making good use out of my CC. Putting everything all together. Fortunately, one of us breaks the sheep. Overlap, disperse with sack, kind of rough, but we're in a good spot because the Shaman is basically half HP, strung out in the middle of the map. And since the Paladin was able to basically take over this pillar when I came all the way over here, then I'm just gonna reverse kite the opposite way and just replicate the same exact scenario. Get him back out into the open. So now I'm kiting in the open, the Paladin's in the open, DH has a kick. Can actually probably fear him and get a cast off and just win in a second. Shadow Fiend comes back up. That's also why I like to use Shadow Fiend so early in the match, is because most shuffle games will generally last like just around the 3-minute mark, so by the time it comes back up, it's like pretty far in dampening and should have a lot of pressure. So I'm just gonna finish the Shaman off here with some easy damage. Didn't play great this game, but my positioning ultimately won. I feel like I just kited them in good spots and we were able to make some plays. Opener was bad, but it's all good. Here we go, Mage, DH, and we're playing with an Enhance. So Enhanced Shaman Shadowpriest is not great. I feel like our best bet is for me to just do my CC when he does his one-shot. Trying to just start my DPS rotation out, generate some sanity, dot the Mage, Mass Dispel my Paladin, Shadow Fiend, the DH gets dispelled, so he has no dots technically right now. I'm going to fade the Hunt, trying to cast VTs. Okay, redotted the DH, gave my Shaman PI, Devouring Plague, time to go to Dark Ascendi form. I should never try to cast Mind Spike Insanity when they have both kicks, so I'm going to either look to bait that Shadow Tree or just focus on some instant cast. Have Dark Ascension active for 10 seconds already, and I haven't gone to single Mind Games or Mind Spike off, so that's kind of generally a bad time to use it. If they have both interrupts up and you think you're going to get stopped, really just want to be a little bit more patient with that cooldown so we can get more value out of it. But here I was able to get at least a mind games off. We get the mage to block. Paladin gets repped. Mage has counterspell, so I need to be very careful around this HP getting kicked and, you know, locked out, not being able to disperse. Desperate Prayer, Fade. Nope, Fade's not up. Glacial Spike's coming. Paladin has to bubble there because I got locked out. Remember what I said? Don't cast around half HP when people have their offensive cooldowns up. Well, he has Icy Veins up and Meta. This lobby is already a little bit harder than the first one that I played at around 1600 MMR. I think this one's about 1900. And just, yeah, your MMR goes up pretty fast if you don't lose. So I kind of trying to adapt to the skill level here. Casting a Mind Games, casting a Mind Spike. Mage could have CS this, so I'm going to go back into my regular Shadow Tree. Cast a Dark Ascension behind the pillar would be sick here too. Oh, actually Void Torrent the DH sneaky to get some Mind Trauma stacks. I like that play. Probably need to get into this Dark Ascension here and just start blasting. Yep. I'm so far away from the mage, I don't need to worry about CS. So right here, I'm just going to sit back and blast the DH. Just PVing whatever you can and shuffle will go a long way. Even if they have every cooldown available, you're going to burn through the healer's mana, and then later in dampening, they won't have cooldowns to trade. So just keeping those Mind Spikes active on the DH. Mage is kiting me, but I almost don't care because I'm just owning the DH. Keeping everybody dotted, triple dots. He dispels the DH. Try to make a mental note of every time they dispel so that you're able to, you know, get your dots back out quickly. Trying to get my spikes back up on the DH. Nope, I just have to actually do a full Void Torrent on him, no problem. And now we're just cleaving everybody, right? It gives my Shaman opportunities to swap. If the Mage gets away, he can just think to himself, hey, I can just hit the DH here and try to win the game. So we get Nether there. I think Mage is already blocked at least once. Power Infusion's back up. Mind Spike getting stacked in the Mage. I have full Mind Trauma stacks right now. And it just feels insane anytime you have high value on a Mind Trauma. Paladin's even a good target for me right now. Dot them all up. Gonna utilize my Shadow Tree here because the Mage still has CS, so I'm just gonna cast a lot of Mind Games, a lot of Mind Blast. He rips my dots off the DH. I get kicked on Mind Spike Insanity, which is not good. Luckily the Mage overlaps his kick, and I'm gonna silence his Glacial and just start popping off into him. I have Dark Ascension up for a little bit more, so I need to try to get some cast off here. So on the Pally, Shadow Crash him, redot the DH. Torrent and just try to kill him here. This game was my best game so far, and it was as my worst comp, which is generally good. Their comp isn't good either, but I think I was able to keep my Mind Spikes up a little bit more and just deal more meaningful damage with those Dark Ascension goes. Here we go, just shooting out a Shadow Crash early, get some dots out. Dot the Paladin. Now I can just focus on dotting the 2 DPS. Same comp, right? Mage, Shadowpriest, Holy Pally. So I'm going to remember what I did to win the game. I just ran away from the healer and it opened up sheeps and allowed my mage to just sit back and pump. Kill the grounding for him. Not too interested in using PI yet until I know that I'm able to get some damage out. So there we go. There's a PI on the mage. Shadow Crash these guys in a second. I'm just dying in a fear and a stun. Desperate Prayer as early as you can because it's a short cooldown right now. It is getting nerfed. Dark Ascension, Mind Games, need to Mind Spike Insanity here too. Yep, there we go. So we get some dots back out. Paladin dispels. Want to kite him out of the darkness ultimately too. Not a bad idea for me to fear just because the Paladin is locked out right now. That could have been a good move. I waited too long and we just get basically Dispel and Tremor. Desperate Prayer is already back. That's why that talent got nerfed, guys. I just used Desperate Prayer 10 seconds ago and it's already back. So definitely we were sneaking by with some OP shit for a while. Void Torrent the Shaman, get some stacks up. Feels like fully channeling a Void Torrent in precog is more effective than spamming 3 regular Mind Spikes to get your Mind Trauma stacks up. I'll stun the Shaman, silence the Paladin in the open. This is what I like to call a mini go. The Paladin's on stun DR and I have my CC available, so I just want to make use of it. So I'm just going to lock the Shaman down. Can't ground or shear while he's stunned. It's going to ensure my mage gets his Glacial off. Dotting everybody on the stack, of course. I'm going to lose my Mind Trauma stacks on the Shaman here. So I think I should have, instead of dotting someone, just Mind Trauma'd him. But you know what? We win the game. My mage was able to pump. If they go on B, I just run around in circles. So no problem. We're looking at some PvP nerfs there. We got Moonkin's nerfed. Talked about the Shadowpriest nerfs. I think we're going to be fine. Mind Trauma nerfed. Desperate Prayer nerfed. No problem. Psychic Link nerfed. No problem. We'll be looking at a new spec as well. Put out a new video on a new spec that WizK's been playing, and we're gonna test it out in some Soul Shuffle and see how it goes. So definitely stay tuned for that new spec video. Maybe we'll be playing it a little bit more next week. Here we go. Dot the shaman, dot the mage. My dots get incapped off, which is a sad moment. I'll silence the Ray of Frost. I really hate silencing the DPS, but it just felt like I didn't want to disperse there. Trying to pop a little Dark Ascension here. Fake some CS maybe. Dark Ascension. I cast a Mind Spike Insanity into Grounding Totem. Remember, it's better to get that Shadow Tree going first. If he shears me, then I can start nuking out some Mind Spikes. I'm less afraid of shear than I am of CS, so anytime CS is down, I'll feel pretty comfortable tanking shear. My paladins just spam repping my dots off, and the DH is caging my dots off, which is not a good combo, but you know what? It's fine. Again, the shear's up, but the CS isn't. I feel totally fine tanking the shear for 1 second. Doomwinds is up for a little bit, so I need to be a little careful. Bait the kick on Shadow Tree. Big Void Torrent here as well. Gonna nuke him. Get the block. Stun the paladin. I don't think the stun was necessary. Once you force the block, you can generally say to yourself like, okay, cool, go next. Like, just save everything, and we'll go off of the next DR, next setup on the mage. Was a bad stun overall. My dots get repped off again. My dots get dispelled from the shaman. So kind of try my hardest to get my dots back out. The team's not making it easy. Looking for some MDs. Mage doesn't get the sheep though. Mage has CS. I'm going to silence him, cast a Mind Spike, cast a Mind Games. Got 1 Mind Trauma stack up. I don't like these silences on the mage, but we did get the Paladin's bubble, so I guess that's fine. I tried to MC the Glacial, which would have been sick, but my haste is too low on this priest because I don't have haste verse pieces. I have like mastery and crit and stuff just from opening boxes. So my gear is suboptimal, but I'm still able to do top damage, just keeping my basic rotational priorities. Just always trying to keep dots on all 3 targets. Precogged, slinging a Void Torrent. We should just be able to run this team down with damage. So I feel like it's totally fine that I'm playing in the open. If I'm ever at risk, I have no disperse, then I'll play more towards like the pillar where I am right now. And once I'm out of line of sight of the mage, also means I can free cast onto whoever I want. He's going to use the CS on the paladin, again opening me up to cast. Have Mind Games available. I want to get these Mind Spikes out so I can get some stacks though. Generally, I feel like it's better to save Mind Games for Dark Ascension, but as a filler spell, I guess it's not bad either. It gives you 10 Insanity. Shadow Crash. The Shaman's already dotted, though. I should have probably dotted the Paladin. Dark Ascension kicks me. Mind Spike spam. 3 stacks in the Mage. Dark Ascension. Mind Spike. Void Torrent. I feel like any of my spells will just kill him here. DR stun just because we're winning. There's a time and a place for a DR stun. That seemed like a good place. Mage has an ice barrier. I could technically purge it, but I'll just kill him with damage. And yep, win the game. Triple dot is very important. Look at the Paladin's mana compared to our Paladins. I can't even see the Paladin's mana on my team, but I feel like because we did so much more damage, we're able to kill him a little bit quicker. So here we go, last match. Feeling pretty confident we are able to beat these teams. So here we go. Enhanced Shaman, Shadowpriest. All I really need to do is keep my dots up and play smart with the interrupt. So I'm going to try to free cast my dots here. If I get kicked, there's no way I die in the opener, so it's totally fine. I'll stun the Paladin, shoot a Shadow Crash on him. I'm going to probably trigger this first stun, I'd imagine. Yep. PI my Shaman, triple fear, pop Dark Ascension, fake the kick with Mind Games. People love to kick Mind Games, so that's generally my move, is trying to fake there. And then if I did get kicked, I would just spam Mind Spike Insanity. Or regular Mind Spike, depending on if I have a proc or not. Paladin's on top of me, so I need to be a little bit careful getting rebuked. There's no kick, the DH isn't on me. Probably not a bad time to Void Torrent. Anytime I have spacing from the melee, I try to make use of those moments where I can free cast. Ray of Frost on me, Desperate Prayer, combat that. Casting a Mind Spike Insanity while he's hodged. Get the block. Not even a worry about MDing maybe. Nope, I did MD it. Okay, we have pressure, keep going. I was gonna say, normally when mages block, I just kind of fuck off and get my dots back up on everyone, but it seems like we're able to get some more pressure here. And then we fear the Paladin behind the pillar. I'm gonna stun him, line of sight the counterspell, mind control him, and mage is still in hypothermia. He just dies. Paladin has obviously trinket, sack, and bubble, but he's so far away that we're able to win. So did not top damage in this one as opposed to my first lobby, but obviously still was able to win all the games from 1600 in my first lobby to 1940, and then my next one will be about 2100. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that everything helped you in this video, and stay tuned for some more content.